Awesome.
Yeah, I'll give it to you because so when I wrote so I was lucky enough, maybe luck, good, whatever it might be. So I was our number one seller at this company for 10 straight years nationally. I left as our firm's all-time leading salesperson, which was great then. It doesn't really mean anything now. It's because I got to go out and prove it again, right? And that's why it goes to the humility, which we'll dive into. And so when I wrote the book, I wanted to realize, so when I was selling at an elite level, how was I doing it? What was I doing? What were the things I was focusing on? And so I realized that.
Welcome to the Gentleman Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast, where we bring to you the most successful, happy, fulfilled gentlemen from around the world who have been able to conquer themselves, their life, their marriage, and their businesses. You will be learning from four-dimensional gentlemen who have cracked the code to the science of having it all. The question is, how can married entrepreneurs with kids become gentlemen, achieve true freedom, and build a successful, happy, and fulfilled life, marriage, and business? This show will give you the answer for that. My name is Alex Ramirez, and I'm your host, and you're welcome to the Gentleman Success, Happiness, Fulfillment Talk podcast. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to another episode of the Gentleman Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast. And as always, I have an incredible guest with us today. And I know I always say that, but it's because it's always true. And I'm just so grateful and glad that I get to call this work, right? Just talking to amazing people. And before I introduce this gentleman to you, I just want to give a big shout out to all of you who have been leaving likes, comments, reviews on all the major podcasting platforms, Apple, Google, Spotify, and to those who have been watching on YouTube as well. Thank you very much. And I want to ask you for a favor today. I want to ask you that if you get something out of this interview, if you get some type of value, some insight, a skill, and new information, or the inspiration to go out and take action to keep on moving forwards towards your goals, I want to ask you to please share this episode with 10 friends. Share it on social media, on your Instagram, on your stories, post the link on your wall. Share with 10 friends, since this is how we grow. This is how we're able to share our message and motivate, inspire, and bless other men out there, other entrepreneurs, to change their lives and become modern gentlemen and have it all. So today I have Casey Jacox. Did I get your last name right, man?
You did.
Cool. And he is the founder, right, of Winning Relationships LLC. He's a sales and leadership coach. He's the author of Win the Relationship, Not the Deal book, which I'm excited to talk about. He's the host of the Quarterback Datacast podcast, and he has more than 20 years of experience building businesses. And Casey's leadership helps companies emphasize on building relationships, not just transactional business deals. He's a father, husband, coach, podcaster, speaker, and a business leader who is the same person in and out of work, right? So Casey, thank you very much for being here, man. I'm really looking for this one. I'm excited, even though I feel like more grounded. I feel grounded today, but I'm excited, man. And I'm usually this high energetic kid, and I'm excited to have you. So thank you very much for being here, man.
I love it, man. Well, I'm honored that you wanted me to join your show. And I was lucky enough for the guests at home to hear your story. And I still am shocked that you spoke English only for 3 years, because I think your English is better than mine. So shout out to you, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you. So yeah, well, I'm 21 right now, right? And I started learning at 18. So 18, 19, 20, 21. So yeah, about 3 years. But I knew English. I knew English, but I never spoke it because I was afraid. I didn't know how to speak English at all. And it was because I'm from a border town with Mexico and the US. So I kind of knew English, right? But I never learned how to speak, right? So that helped. So reading for 2 hours every single day out loud was what made that was the trick right there.
Wow.
So yeah, thank you for acknowledging that, man. And yeah, and the first thing that I do with my guest, Casey, is I tell them to walk us through their entrepreneurial journey in 75 seconds or less.
All right. Is the timer on?
Yeah, go ahead.
There we go. So I was a 20-year corporate guy, former college athlete, played quarterback in college, I knew it was ready to go. And I knew I wanted to write a book. I wrote a book, which is called Win the Relationship, Not the Deal, as you mentioned. I started a podcast for dads. I did not realize they both would collide and help me do what I'm doing now. Initially, then when I got done, after letting my mind kind of rest, I had people say, "Hey, do you coach?" I'm like, "Yeah, my kids." They're like, no, do you coach? And I didn't realize they were talking about business coaching. It's just something I didn't even think about doing, but I am built for it. I am wired for it. I'm qualified for it after spending 20 years in corporate America. And it is the most rewarding work, helping people remove fear throughout their organizations, drive humility, drive more vulnerability, which are the two key ingredients to building relationships and having leadership within your teams. I'll stop there to see how much time I have left on the clock.
Well, you nailed it, right? It was less than 75 seconds, but you nailed it, man. Yeah, that gives me a lot to talk about. So I don't know what I want to start with. I want to start with the podcast. Let's start with the podcast. So did you write the podcast first, or did you start the podcast? Did you write the book first or the podcast? What came first?
I wrote the book. I had the idea for that book for the last 10 years, 10, 11, 12 years ish. I was in corporate America. I was traveling. I was working with our largest customers, and I was actually in Dallas. And I remember working with some younger folks I was like kind of the senior to them. And they were so eager to please me and win customers and help them grow. And they wanted me to, because I was like the senior person to them at the time. And I remember telling them that you guys were never going to win every deal, but I expect you to want to win every deal. And they looked at me like, what the hell are you talking about? And I said, so let me give you an example, guys. When we lose a deal, how can we still win a person? How can we win people? And I was like walking them through that. And I was like, that's it. That's the name of the book. Win the relationship, not the deal. Because if we win people, there will always be deals. If I try to win a deal and focus less on the person, I'm going to lose. It's going to be short term. I've always been a long-term focused person. I teach now what's called a boomerang mindset. So always serving others without keeping score, right? If you throw a boomerang, it comes back to you. But yeah, so I wrote the book, and then I ran a podcast at my previous company that was more internal, and I wanted to do something different. I like the word uncommon, Alex, because I think I like to be uncommon in everything I do, so you become more memorable. And I was like, I'm gonna do something for dads. There wasn't a lot of dad stuff. This was kind of right during the Me Too movement for like females and helping to bring more female voice to the females out, which I think is awesome. But I realized there wasn't a lot of stuff for dads. And I played quarterback in college, and so I was trying to think about like what's a play on words, a metaphor. And so I thought, in theory, most football teams, American football, the quarterback is the leader of the team. And in most households, a husband could be perceived as the leader of the home. Doesn't have to be. My wife's an amazing leader. I say she's the general manager. I might be the quarterback, but she's the boss. Yeah. And then I realized how can I help dads, use, I'm passionate about the word humility, passionate about the word vulnerability, as well as curiosity, and use those three skills to help dads become more present fathers, be open to talk about their gaps, have to share their story about where they grew up, make sure they remember how their parents shaped them, impacted them. And I think your story is perfect. You're choosing to do the opposite of what's happened. And you're trying to stop that, which you've done. It sounds like you're doing a great job, and I shout out to you. And so what I didn't realize though, Alex, was that these both would collide, meaning the book, the coaching, the podcast, because now what's been fun is like, I'm working with executives at corporate large companies. And then I'm finding that they like the idea of the podcast. Then they would come on, I interview them. And so like, if I interview like a CEO or vice president of a company, now their employees get to learn a different side of this person. They're seeing the humble, the vulnerable side. Now they're drawn more into that person. They're like, wow, I had no idea my boss went to, Vietnam. I had no idea my boss grew up in Hawaii without a dad. I had no idea my boss that, and so it allows it to be, I guess, humanize what we do, which too often we live in these structured boxes where we feel like we have to be perfect, which doesn't exist.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's cool. All right. So you wrote the book, right? And I'm guessing, well, I'm not guessing, you just told us, right? It was based on the 20 years of experience of winning people, not the deal, right? So you can want to win the deal every single time, but not every time you're going to win it, but you should win the person every time, because if you win the person, there always will be deals to win, by winning the people, by winning the relationship, So, man, I know that you share a couple of common sense strategies, right? To like, win the relationship and not the deal. Can you share a few of them? I honestly, like, I'm just selfishly asking, and then I
Sure.
want to like I'm like dying to go into those three words that you talked about right now: curiosity, humility, and vulnerability. But yeah, but first, would you share those, some of those common sense strategies to
Yep.
win the relationship and not the deal?
Yeah, I'll share all six. If
Awesome.
yeah, I'll give it to you because so when I wrote so I was lucky enough, maybe luck, good, whatever it might be. So I was our number one seller at this company for 10
Mhm.
straight years nationally. I left
Cool.
as our firm's all-time leading salesperson, which was great then. It doesn't really mean anything now. It's because I got to go out and prove it again, right? And that's why it goes to the humility, which we'll dive into. And so when I wrote the book, I wanted to realize, okay, so when I was selling at an elite level, how was I doing it? What was I doing? What were the things I was focusing on? And so I realized that these six things, and I, as the author, Alex, I read this book 8 times, mainly through the editing process. When I did the Audible version, I've learned something from myself every time I read it. Right. So if that's like
Cool.
it tells me, I mean, because I didn't create this stuff. This is stuff's been around forever. So the 6 things are: chapter 1's about starting the day with positivity or treating people the way you want to be treated. Follow the golden rule of life.
Nice.
We talk about it, but people aren't intentional about it. Chapter 2 is about the power of expectation management. When you don't set expectations properly, relationships will be damaged. For example, we were recording today at, we'll call it whatever time. If I showed up 15 minutes late and didn't let you know, I just kind of sent a message to you that, hey, your time's not as important as mine, which is BS. There's no way to do it.
Or whatever my mind comes up with, right? Which is
Correct.
really dangerous. Yeah.
Yep. Chapter 3 is the difference between listening and hearing. Hearing is subconscious. Listening is conscious. It's a choice. It's a skill. You can practice it. Chapter 4 is about the power of using CRM, customer relationship management software, like documenting what we learn from our prospects or clients. Like maybe we document a friend's birthday in our phone and we always call them, hey, wishing you happy birthday. Don't send them a text, call them. Do little things that are uncommon. Chapter 5 is about ditching your ego, letting your authentic self shine, which requires us to practice our craft, ask for help, realizing that we're not the smartest in the room. There's other people that are on this journey together. Let's go first. Talk about your weaknesses first, so it inspires other people to share theirs. And then the last chapter is about relationships take time. They take perseverance. They take patience. And so we have to meet people where they are if a relationship is going to be formed the most authentic way. And then lastly, I share kind of some personal stories about, instead of a joke, it was called, win the marriage, not the boat launch. If you've ever launched a boat, it's stressful. People, husbands and wives, usually yelling at each other, do this, do that. It's usually a craziness. As an athlete, I coach a lot of youth sports. And it's like, win the relationship with the athlete, not the outcome of the game. And when I wrote the book, my father was still alive. He passed away on December 29th of last year. And so I wrote a little small dedication to him that said, win the relationship with my dad, not the dementia. When someone has dementia or Alzheimer's, they're unreasonable. You can't reason with them. They're living this journey in their head that's, essentially made up, a mixture of memories and not. And so I learned to just, meet my dad where he was. And if he thought he was in college again, get into character and play that part. If my dad thought he was doing something else, get into character and play that part. Don't try to convince him, just try to enjoy the moment. And I had doctors that said, how did you know to do that? I'm like, I just did it. I don't know why, I just did it. And so, but anyway, those are the six things. And it's a book that the people who have read it, have told me they've read it multiple times, because every time, like I mentioned earlier, that you learn something different. And it's one of those things that's kind of be as a sports analogy, when we watch film after a football game, or, you kind of look back, hey, what did I do right? Tell me the things I did right and wrong. And so when your business or your relationships might not be going down the right path, these are like 6 things to think about. Where can I be a little bit better to be a better friend, teammate, coach, husband, father, whatever it might be. So.
Yeah, I love those, man. So I actually, whenever, I don't know if you asked me, like I did, I don't think I asked you, how are you? I don't know. But whenever someone asks me, how are you? I respond, well, first of all, I take like a deep breath and I make sure I feel it. And I'm like, I have a positive attitude. I'm doing things right. I have no fear and I'm grateful. So like, if you have a positive attitude, whatever it is that you do will be right. Like no matter the outcome. Right. And when you have a positive attitude and you do things right, there's no reason why you have fear, right? And combining all those three, you'll get a lot of things to be grateful. So, that really resonated with me, the positive attitude. And then the expectation, like managing expectations, which is about communication. I just learned this amazing lesson. So I was about to like buy myself a necklace, right? And like a little gold, how do you call this, like a wristband?
Yeah,
Like
bracelet.
bracelet, yeah, like a
Yeah.
gold bracelet and a necklace. And I had a couple, had some money in my pocket, and like I had like $800 on my pocket, and I thought that was going to be enough. I thought that I was going to spend like 500 maybe, and I went to the store, right, to this like jewelry store, and like I really thought that I was going to be able to buy it. Like I even wore it, and I was about to like walk out of there with like my necklace and my bracelets, and it wasn't 800 or the $500 that I thought it was going to be. It was $4,000, which I didn't buy it. Like it would be stupid if I did, but I didn't buy it, and I was like, holy crap! And I learned a valuable lesson, man. Which my mother, bought me a necklace, a golden necklace, like years and years ago, and I lost it. And I remember that I would leave it like there, and I would leave it everywhere, and I didn't take care of it. But it's because she didn't manage the expectation. Like she didn't communicate with me. It's not that I'm ungrateful and that I'm like a bad kid or whatever. She just never communicated and never like sat me down and be like, look, son, like I love you, and I want you to, be like, wear this nice necklace, and I want you to look good, and I love you, and I'm gonna give you this. It costed, like $2,000 or whatever, and I want you to take care of it. Like I didn't get that right. She just gave it to me, and I was like, oh, like I treated it. It wasn't because I wasn't grateful. I just didn't know. So that was a really valuable lesson, and which is about communicating, right? Communicating and expectations, which I'm taking it, more seriously, and I'm going to make sure that I implement that with my kids. So if I give something to my kid, I'll make sure what the value of that is, right? To communicate with them and set the expectation. So yeah, I really that really resonated with me, man. Cool. So great book. How was the experience writing it? Was it painful?
No, it wasn't, because I was ready to write it. I didn't want to write it when I was still at my corporate job, because that would have been an excuse to like, oh, I'm busy, I can't do this, I can't do that because I'm. And once I got my thoughts on paper and knew what I wanted to write about, then the biggest thing was, and I'm a very habitual person, so I literally said, I set myself a meeting request in my calendar and from 9 to 11:30 every day I wrote. Every day. Some days it was awesome, some days it sucked. The days it sucked, it was really good. The days it was good, it was really, really bad. And then I just kept writing, and I just would get in these flows of writing. And it was everything I thought it would be. It was, I didn't want a super long book, because sometimes us salespeople can be, a shiny new object. It's like we chase the bunny, and it's like we're going back and forth, and you got a little ADD in you. But I wanted something that was simple, actionable, something that could apply. And there's a lot of failure in there. I talk a lot about my personal failure and stories of, because I didn't want to be one of these authors that just talks about, hey, look at me, look at all these things I did, because I don't think that sells, right? I think stories sell, and stories of struggle and stories of challenge. I shared many stories of my own challenge, which I think I've gotten over 100 reviews on Amazon, which has been ridiculously humbling. Yeah, I think maybe I have another book in mind too. So nice. Fingers crossed it comes.
So I really like that. I really like how you said, you set a habit, right? So you became a person who would easily write a book, right? So where am I? What do I want? I want to write a book. All right. So who must I become? Well, I must become someone who writes every single day, right? As a habit, 2 hours. And by doing that and showing up, you ended up with, like this amazing book. So awesome. I just wanted to like make sure to not like breeze over that and highlight that, right? But
habits
your habits,
everything.
you make your habits, and then they make you, right?
Totally.
So awesome. So man, now I want to talk about, those 3 words that that come up multiple times so far. And I have a feeling they're about leadership, right? So I just recently, started to like lead, actually like build a team and not be a solopreneur and stuff like that. And my core values, like I've had these core values even before I started to become a leader. And my first 3 core values are humility, respect, and wisdom, right? Humility, respect, and wisdom. because wisdom is all I look for every single day. That's why I've done over 130 interviews so far, right? Like, and all I look for is wisdom, right? Like, what can I take from this person who's lived more than me, like a decade more than me or whatever? Humility, right? And respect, like, and I really like in vulnerability, right? I'm vulnerable with my team. I'm humble with my team. My team gets to listen to my interviews. So yeah. So I have a feeling that those three words that you talk about have a lot to do with being a good leader. So can you, I don't know, share some insights on what those three words are and they mean for you, and like why they play such a huge role or in your life?
Yep. So in the coaching I do, I'll share it. So I'm helping companies from a leadership perspective. I'm also helping companies from removing fear from their sales organizations. I'm helping them build better relationships. And those three words achieve that. Too often, when we think we have the solution, we are like a cat with catnip. We pounce. We just go to solution mode. And I teach a framework to asking questions that I got taught in my life that's super powerful, super simple, yet very hard to do. It's called TED. Tell me, explain, describe. So if you ask TED-based questions, you will find that you start learning more about people. Now, the gap is when most people do, they ask a question and they want to just keep talking about themselves. Which what I teach is go deeper, second, third, fourth level TED questions. Go deeper. Tell me more about that. Describe why that is. Explain why you feel that way. Tell me what would happen if you achieve that. Like, make them think about something they're not thinking about yet. The best leaders do that. They don't lead meetings with talking about how great they are. They don't lead meetings with just talking and their team's kind of blacking out. They lead with questions. And even when their team has a question or her question, they ask questions. Tell me what you think. Right? It's called the Socratic Method. Essentially teaching through questions, which I've learned at age 46. That curiosity is my superpower. I think about it all the time. Most people don't. I'm learning, at least the people I coach. So curiosity is the top of my game, top of my mind. The best leaders I've worked with are humble enough to admit his or her gaps. They're humble enough to talk about where they failed. And they realize that if they lead with their failure first, you remove fear and you set the stage for it's okay. I don't need to be perfect. And then they're vulnerable to say, hey, I don't know. Tell me what you guys think. Or they don't pretend to have the shiny, perfect armor where they're going to sit on top of this pedestal and convince people that they have all their stuff figured out, because that's not reality. No one does. I was lucky enough to have a lot of success in business. I got tons of gaps that I'm attacking every single day. So I think the best leaders, like I'll wrap up, that have humility, have vulnerability, have curiosity, the best relationship builders also follow that framework too.
Okay. So can you explain how you can, actually like implement, like how can you be more humble? Well, first of all, how can you be more curious? How, like, your curiosity, you just said it, like, is at the top of your game. So what do you do to like make sure your curiosity is at the top of your game? What do you do to be humble? Right? Like, even though these are my core values, I'm constantly like looking for other people's perspectives. So I'm curious, right, about other people's perspectives about what this. Hey, sorry for the interruption. Real quick, do you want to know how I've been using my podcast to build a multi-million-dollar network with over 100 7, 8, and 9-figure entrepreneurs? Reach hundreds of my ideal clients with my message coaching service and podcast. Get invited to speak on 4 stages in the last 2 months alone. Go to my own events and have over 100 successful entrepreneurs being willing to speak at my events. Become a millionaire in 1 year. Get mentored by multimillionaires and achieve goals that I thought were going to take me 10 years to achieve in 1 year. And ultimately get unstuck and make quantum leaps of progress in my business and life with less than 1 hour of work just by being myself. If you answered yes to any of those, I just want to invite you to a free training showing you how I've been able to build a multi-million-dollar network that is helping me achieve bigger income goals faster with only 1 hour of speaking and just being myself. To be honest, I thought I was going to be a multi-millionaire, speak on stages, throw my own events, and live a successful, happy, and fulfilled life of growth and impact in 10 years from now. That seemed so far away, but my podcast has been able to help me do that in less than 6 months. I'm actually doing all of that this year at the age of 21 with my podcast. I'm reaching thousands of people with my message, my service, my podcast, my coaching. I've gotten booked to speak on 4 stages in the last 2 months. And on these stages, I'm going to be getting in front of hundreds of my ideal clients, making roughly around 15 to 30K plus per event. Not only that, I have a network of over 100 high-level, multi-million-dollar entrepreneurs who have all agreed to speak at my event. Getting clients is a problem of the past. I've gotten the opportunities to learn from billionaires, and I'm collapsing decades of time, and I'm literally achieving what I thought was going to take me 10 years to achieve in 1 year. All of this because I use podcasting as a networking tool, and I leveraged a rare concept called the cloak track. And I want the exact same thing for you. Just imagine where you could be in 1 year from now if you get this free training right now. That is why I'm inviting you to this training. On this short training, you're going to learn how a small group of purpose-driven entrepreneurs, authors, coaches, course creators, and speakers have combined podcasting with this rare concept called the cloak track to build a multi-million-dollar network, reach thousands of their ideal clients with their message, books, courses, coaching, make an extra $118,800, get booked on 10 stages, and build a successful network of entrepreneurs who speak on their stage, all of this in under 6 months. I'm going to walk you through the 4 steps to make this work. Step number 1, alignment. Getting clear on who you want to be, what you want to do, your goals, your purpose, and aligning all of this with building your podcast and your ideal podcast guest. Step number 2, leveraging the cloak track to find your ideal podcast guest and never running out of them. Step number 3, leveraging the cloak track to close an interview with anyone, no matter how rich, famous, or out of your league they may seem. And step number 4, the content machine. The content machine is the key to tapping into other people's audiences. And I'm going to show you all of those 4 steps. The link to access this free training is in the description of this video. Click on it and go watch this training right now so that you can learn how you can too build a multi-million-dollar network that helps you achieve bigger goals faster and with less effort. Note, this training is only available to 18 people, so act right now, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this episode. Bye-bye. What it means to them, just to have like a bigger, broader experience and awareness of what it is. So yeah, I'm curious to know what, how you do this, how you implement this.
Mm-hmm. So humility, my football coach in college said, Casey, if you have to tell people how good you are, you're not that good. When you're great, I will tell you. So that always stuck with me. So when you want to start talking about yourself, just talk about the team, talk about how the team helped you get there, right? As a quarterback, those that follow American football, a quarterback needs a center to snap it. He needs 4 or 5 people in front of him to block. He needs a running back to run it. He needs receivers to go run routes. He needs a defense to go tackle other people. He needs a special team to go kick field goals, punt. He can't do it alone. So why in business do we think we need to go alone? You can't. So I always say you might as well stay humble because life will humble you anyways. Change is inevitable. It's always going to happen. Now, how do I get better at vulnerability? Or how do I get better at curiosity? Curiosity is just, I have to go in thinking, how can I learn more about you? And then TED is a great framework. So if you practice TED-based questions, you already used one. You said, right after I said it, you said explain. So nice job. I picked up on that. Ask people, don't ask a question to respond. Listen to learn versus listen to persuade. When you think about that framework, you will learn more about people, right? So here's an exercise I'll give that I share with companies. So imagine, Alex, you and I are talking for a minute, and your job is to act as, what's the word? Your job is to act as distracted as possible. And my job is for a minute to talk to you about everything I want to talk about, right?
Okay.
Now, if you're sending these vibes and you're sending these cues, like you're looking at your phone, your watch, you're looking away, you're interrupting me, you're asking questions that mean nothing to do. I'm like, and then after a minute, me as the person in the room, I'd say, so Casey, how'd you feel? I'd be like, I felt terrible. I mean, Alex, he didn't show any interest in me. He looked busy. He was multitasking, which so many people in corporate America do, or relationships. They don't make eye contact. And I said, okay, now let's do it again. Alex, your job is to ask TED-based questions. Let Casey finish. Don't interrupt him, and see what happens in the conversation. We'll go for a minute. So what happens is I'll say something and you start asking me questions. Ask deeper level questions on that thought. Keep going deeper and deeper and deeper. And what the trick is, I actually hold the timer as if I was moderating the group. I won't stop the clock at a minute, and you'll feel the energy in the room rise, and you'll essentially let the thing go out. All of a sudden, 4 or 5 minutes later, we're still talking. And then we'll stop and say, hey, tell me how that felt. And he's like, oh, it was great. He was listening. He was engaged. He asked great questions. He learned more about me. I share the story. And then I asked him, I said, then why don't we do that every day? Why don't we do that with our relationships? You just created this amazing moment, yet we make the choice to look busy. We make the choice to, I'm listening to you. I'm typing, I'm looking at my phone. Slow down. We got to slow down to go fast. So I think you can definitely practice those three things. I do it every day. I teach it to my clients. It's about choices though.
Got it. And so does this like framework to, like listen to people, to ask questions, to like be interested instead of like interesting, to like listen to learn instead of persuade. Does this framework apply to, or has anything to do with being a top salesperson?
I don't want to generalize because I don't speak for everybody else. For me, 1000%. 1000%. I was not afraid to say, I don't know to clients. I was not afraid to say, hey, you know what? Let me get back to you. I don't want to give you an answer I'm not sure about. I listened intently, Alex, for 2 words in every business sales meeting I was going on. I wanted to hear them say, great question. If I heard them say great question, it means I made them think. And as the great Maya Angelou said, it's not what I said, why I said it, but how I make people feel when I leave the room. If I can use my curiosity to ask great questions and listen intently, and they're like, man, that person was different. He was great.
Yeah.
I win.
Nice. Okay, cool. Yeah, I like that. So man, what is value? I saw that word somewhere around your, like your website or something, like value, with
An
dots.
acronym.
Yeah.
So value to me is one of the most overused words in business. People talk about, hey, I want to drive more value. We're a value added supplier. We're value, blah, blah, blah. You don't even know what the freaking value means, guys, girls. To be valuable, I have to solve problems. I have to understand what problems exist for my clients. I need to understand what value means to a person. And so I said, I'm going to create an acronym so that we can measure value. And so for me to be the most valuable person to you today, or to my team, or to a customer, I need to be, the V is for vulnerable. The A is for authentic. The L is for level-headed, meaning that when things aren't going to go perfect, how am I going to respond? The U is for understanding. You'd be understanding of others, cultures, backgrounds, beliefs. And E, I need to be empathetic. Sometimes you got to pick a teammate up. Got to be empathetic. Sometimes a client's going to lose budget. They're going to have to cancel a project. Are you going to get mad? What are you going to do? So if I focus on those 5 words, those 5 emotional characteristics. And I found when I'm doing those things at a high level, I have great value for people. People want to spend time with me, and the relationships are strong.
Cool. I love that, man. So, and you teach this, like, is it a framework? It's like an acronym. Do you teach it? Yeah.
So I work with corporate clients. I work with corporate leaders. I work with sales teams. I work with, software, finance, wealth management, staffing, consulting, insurance. A lot of the stuff we're talking about, Alex, is mindset work, having the right mind, preparing your mind through habits. And I usually work with people for 3 months at a minimum. And we have 8 sessions. They have an assessment I have built. It's proprietary that they fill out, allows me to learn a lot about them. I get them to think about things they probably haven't thought about in a long time. Power of curiosity again, right there. And you get people to unlock their potential. And it's so rewarding. So rewarding.
Cool. Awesome. And your book, your podcast, and now this, right? Everything like is how can I say it? Like I don't know,
intertwined, or
there you go. Right. Like everything is helping every single other thing.
Yeah.
So, let's talk about your podcast, man. So you wrote your book, right? Which you told us about. Then you started your podcast, and then, right, like that was like a door. It was like a catalyst into what you're doing right now. Which we just talked about a little bit briefly. So your podcast. So like you started it. What made you start a podcast called, right, the Quarterback Datacast? I think you told us a little bit, but yeah, can you go into that? Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, I did. I share a little bit before, but mainly the point is just to help dads unleash or unlock their own vulnerabilities. Teach dads that we don't have to have everything figured out. Teach dads that they have to ask for help. Teach dads that, hey, when have we shared our own failures with our kids? When you mess up, do you talk about kids or do you pretend you're this perfect person?
Yeah.
For example, I applied for a TED Talk 2 years ago. I didn't get picked. I don't know why. Maybe I wasn't qualified, wrong guy, wrong time. I don't know, but I couldn't wait to go tell my kids that I tried something. I didn't get picked, but guess what? I'm going to compete tomorrow. I'm not giving up. I like talking to my kids now as an entrepreneur. Hey, I got a big deal with this potential company here, because when I share with them, then they're starting to ask me questions, and then I'll ask them questions back. Tell me why that interests you. And then we start talking about things that we haven't talked about in a long time. And so when I can interview dads to get them to realize these things, it's just powerful, and it makes them think about things they haven't thought about in a long time. I always like to, 2020, Alex taught me a lot about the word privilege. I was probably one of these white people, I'll stereotype, where I heard the word privilege. I was like, I work hard. I'm not privileged. What are we talking about? I just didn't get it. I was so naive. Okay. And so now I've dove in deep to have more diversity to my podcast. I want to talk to people of all races, creeds. I want to learn about, like, I didn't know what the word Juneteenth meant during 2020, during like Black Lives Matter movement. I have one of my best friends. I've only met him twice. I think the world of this guy. His name's Dale Favors. He's taught me more about diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's inspired me to interview former college teammates I played with to learn about their stories. And again, just that whole framework of listen to learn. So like, if I can lead from the front with my own vulnerability, attack my gaps, and to help put not to take this too far down the path here, Alex, but like help put a dent in, systemic racism when I'm alive. And I'm never going to solve it, but if I can put a dent in it, I win. We win as a culture. We win as a society, realizing that just accept people for who they are and learn more about where people came from. And, regardless of the color of your skin, the age, gender, don't matter. We're all people.
All right. And that's how, and that's what your podcast is about. So then do you interview just dads or
just dads?
Okay.
Yeah. So sorry, moms. I'd love to talk to you, but this one's for dads. And I have a lot of moms that listen to it because they're like, how did you get my husband to talk about that stuff? Curiosity.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And humility and vulnerability. You probably shared something with them that made them be like, oh yeah, actually that's happened to me as well. Right.
Correct.
So cool. And then, so you wrote the book, right, about winning relationships. And then you started a podcast talking to dads. So how did that help you? How did that like accelerate your career?
It just opened doors, and I stayed curious. And then I learned a great word called the word surrender. Surrendering to, essentially, I read a book called The Surrender Experiment, which is a powerful book. And it really kind of just said surrender to life's flow, which is opposite of, a very competitive driven person. But instead I just gave myself grace that I don't have to have all the answers. And instead of trying to worry about me and where I wanted to go, I just started serving others, connecting people on LinkedIn, finding ways to help them. Not like, again, be a boomerang, do not keep score. And what happened, Alex, is when you throw a boomerang, it comes back to you if you throw it the right way. And so all of a sudden, every day, I have boomerangs that show up. I'm like, how did that happen? And I can pinpoint, oh, okay, that's how it happened. So nothing fills my tank more than serving others and helping people and getting that full circle. Now I'm full-fledged busy. I have a full set of clients, working with people all over the United States. Actually, I have a client in London I'm coaching. And what I love most about it is anything I coach someone on, it's through my own gaps, my own failure, or a story of success that I can back up. I'm never guessing. I'm never saying, hey, try this. There's too many coaches, I think, that aren't, I would say, qualified yet with life skills that should be coaching people. I want a few gray hairs in his or her beard before they start coaching me. You probably can't see them. I do have some grays in this beard.
Cool. Yeah, for sure. And I like that, the surrender experiment. So that's a book, I'm going to get it. I want to look into it because I recently learned about 4 levels of awareness, right? Or consciousness, whatever you want to call it. And most people are in, like victim mentality, like like in the to me mode, to me level of awareness, in which everything happens to me, right? It's a very disempowering way to live. It's very, like heavy and full of doubt and fear and frustration. Everything is happening to you. You're a victim, right? The second level of awareness, the second level of consciousness is the by me mode, right? Like people are in by me mode. Everything that they do or that they want will happen by them. So they're pushing hard. That's where the personal development industry comes in. You know, that the personal development industry gets people from the to me victim mentality into achiever mode, right? Into by me mentality, in which they work hard, they're grinding and hustling and grinding and working 24/7, and everything has to happen by them, right? Then the third level of awareness, which I've been working to get into, right? And I've had like really nice like streaks or flows of whatever of this third level of awareness. I've experienced it is through me, right? In which things happen through you. Like you don't force them. Like doors open before you even touch the knob. Everything is in flow. It's effortless, right? Everything happens through you, right? Like you're like a vessel, and things happen through you. And I've definitely been operating more like that, right? Actually, the reason I started this podcast, man, the Gentleman Says a Chef Talk with Alex Ramirez, is because I spent a year, right, as a 20-year-old trying to pitch 30, 35, 40, 45-year-olds on how to grow their business without sacrificing time, health, and relationships. And I had over 60 sales calls, like an entire year. I had like a bunch of sales calls, and all I got was rejection, right? Like nobody wanted to give me money. And of course, right? Like I'm 20. I was 20 years old. I'm 21 right now. But I started to I believe this is my purpose, and I didn't want to give up. And I was like so passionate and all of that. And I was like, well, you know what? At least I will start a podcast. I'm going to start a podcast interviewing modern gentlemen to see what I can learn from them. And, you know, while I learn from them, which will probably help me, I'll be able to impact other people who listen to my podcast. So I started my podcast, and then I went into like spiritual development, and I learned this, this concept that I'm talking about, to surrender. I've learned to surrender. And I started my podcast about 7 months ago this year, like in December. And it's been great, man. Like my podcast, because I have been surrendering to life, to what life is trying to give me, and I've been accepting all of its gifts. I'm literally achieving goals that I thought were going to take me 5 or 10 years in one. That's like great. Speaking on stages, like getting my business, like growing my business, like throwing my own events. And it's because of my podcast, because I've been focusing on relationships, right? On winning relationships instead of winning deals. And yeah. So yeah.
Good for you.
Thanks, man. So yeah. So man, let's see. So we have a couple of minutes, and I have 5 questions that I want to ask you. All right.
Okay.
And the first one is, if you could give your 20-year-old self some advice, what would that be?
Ask for help every single day. I would say find someone that's smarter than you, stronger than you, faster than you, and have the courage to go say, tell me one thing that you wish you could do differently. Kind of, you're asking the same question that someone else is asking you, but you're learning kind of what you're doing. You're learning from people's gaps. And I'd rather, the old phrase, but it's if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go further, go together. Mm-hmm. And so for me, it's, I would ask that, just instill the curiosity in someone young and realize you don't have to have all the answers.
Got it. Awesome. Great advice. Thanks. The second question is, what is one mindset shift, Casey, that you think is contributing to your success right now? What is one mindset shift that you've had that you think that you can share, that you think is contributing to your success?
Yeah, I think for me, when I went into coaching, when people started asking me if I coach, my first mindset shift was, well, I'm not a coach. I'm not a coach. I didn't go to business. I didn't go to like the certification school to be a coach. And I was telling myself a story. Uh-huh. And I remember talking to a guy, a good buddy, Andrew, up in Toronto, and I asked him for advice. And I said, hey, Andrew, I'm getting people start asking me if I consult and coach, and would I help them? But I'm kind of stuck because it's not really what I do. And he goes, Casey, can I be honest with you? I said, yeah. He goes, okay, I'm going to be really, really honest with you. I said, bro, I can take it. I've been in corporate America. I've been in boardrooms, earnings calls. I've thrown 4 interceptions in the first half in college. Give it to me. He's like, so what I've heard about you is you've done all these things, blah, 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 blah. I want you to get out of my quote mother effing face and go help people. Stop wasting my time. You wrote a book about it. Go. And it was just like this. Yeah, what am I doing? You're right. Thanks. And I literally called a client that was thinking about hiring me. And I called her back. I said, hey, it's Casey. You got a quick sec? I said, yeah, I'm going to be just really honest with you. I just had to go off the phone. I just talked to somebody and you said you're looking for a coach. Well, I'm your guy. And here's why. I spent 20 years in the industry that you're trying to sell into. I was an elite level seller for over 20 years. I set records left and right. I'm going to show you all the way I did it. Hire me now. Let's go. She said, okay, you're hired. I haven't looked back. That was a year and a half ago.
Cool. Damn, that was awesome. So, all right. So then change your story, change your life. Like there's stories in your head, right? Like or what would you say is the mindset shift then?
The mindset was just the word behind me, which is belief. You can see people, I don't know if people will see it on YouTube, they will. So I always start every day with, I ask myself, Case, do you believe what you do matters? 1,000%. 1,000,000%. I believe what I do matters because I know it works. Right. And so when I start with belief, it gives me the confidence to do anything I want because I'm serving others. I'm leading with those words we talked about with curiosity, humility, and vulnerability. When I start with belief, we become very, very dangerous to help people and impact the world.
Yeah. And that I would say, man, is like what holds everyone back, like lack of belief. Like you could literally do anything, but you won't if you don't believe in yourself.
Imagine Barack Obama's parents. If he said, hey, I want to be the first African-American president. And they said, you're never going to do that. You can't be a black person in the White House. Why not? Go do it. Oprah Winfrey doing what she's doing. Jackie Robinson, all these famous, people. Why not you?
Exactly. Right. Awesome. Or a lot of people ask, why me? Well, why not you? Right.
Right. Someone's going to do it. I told my daughter, go be the first female president. I'll vote for you.
Cool. I like that. The third, let's see, mindset map. Do you have any advice for people who may lack or may need clarity in their life right now?
I would say word mapping exercises are great. Journaling is great. Find a friend and use the TED-based question. So sometimes it's called give to, take to. I've learned, hey, tell me 2 things you think I do really, really well. And then 2 things I could do differently to make me a better friend, a better listener, a better person in my job. And you might learn something about it. Maybe they're going to tell you something and then start asking more questions. Tell me more about that. Right. When people, or if you're lacking clarity, go tell somebody that. Be vulnerable to share that with somebody. Because if you're lacking clarity, someone else is probably lacking clarity too.
Ask for help. Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Ask for help. Be vulnerable. Share with others. Cool. I like that. Mindset map motion. So what is, we talked about habits right now and, you're a person of habits and like my question is, what is one habit that you have, Casey, right now that you think is contributing to your success?
A daily routine, meaning start the day with daily scripture. Sometimes it makes sense. Sometimes it doesn't. I do a gratitude journal. I work out 5-6 days a week. I joke, I do old man CrossFit. My fitness goals are don't get fat and don't get hurt. Right? And people think I'm joking, but I'm half joking, but I'm also half serious. Like that almost getting closer to 50 than I am 40. And so for me, being able to stay fit, do the things I like to do, but not get hurt is so that daily routine. I'm very, 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 I don't break from that.
Nice. Awesome. And the last question is mindset map motion measure. What do you think about measuring and tracking, Casey?
I mean, that's why they keep scoring sports, right? That's why that's why when you get on a plane, there's a start and an end. You don't just get on an airplane and fly and see where you want to go once you get up at 35,000 feet, right? You have to measure success. And so we don't know where we're going. That's why we didn't talk about this, but you just made me think of it, Alex, I teach people not to use 5 swear words. And so when we think of 5 swear words, curse words.
Okay.
So what would be a curse word you might think of in the fun English language you've learned?
Yeah. Yeah, like fuck.
There we go. So my swear words are need to, should to, have to, want to, and can't. Those swear words create a emotion called anxiety. And if we say like, so think about if I say, man, I need to lose weight. Well, how much weight?
To.
I have to start working out. Well, instead, I teach people to use the word I will. Then write it down. So if I want to, which is a swear word, if it's important to me to get in shape, great, let's talk about it. Tell me what you think we need to do. Well, I need to exercise. Great. How often? I don't know, 3 days a week. For how long? I don't know, 20 minutes. Great. Let's write down what we do, measure it, and then you can see where you are getting bigger, faster, or stronger.
And how you can improve. Awesome. Yep. So how did you figure out those like swear words? Because I can see why they're swear words. For example, I want is a swear word because it's low frequency, because it's like a saying that you want something that you don't have right now, which puts you in lack, right? As well as I need, as well as I should, as regret, and all of that. So how did you figure that out?
Power of surrender came to me, hit me just like, how did I think of when the relationship, not the deal? Call it a God moment, call it universe. It was like, that's it. It was like lightning. I feel like I got zapped. Like,
yeah. So what are the words again? Can you repeat them?
Need to, should do, want to, have to, and can't. Remove those 5 swear words.
Nice. Awesome. I'll start doing it. Yeah. Because I already knew, right? But I think that they sometimes come up, maybe not an accident, but unconsciously. So I'll make sure to make a conscious effort to like remove them. So awesome. Thanks for sharing that. You bet. Casey, I've really enjoyed this. I've really enjoyed this, man. Like I don't know if you can feel, but I'm grounded right now. I don't know why. I'm really, really grounded. Like I'm not usually like this. I'm like more like high energy and excited. I don't know, but I enjoyed it. And thank you for being here, man. I really appreciate this. I had a lot of fun. And if people also enjoyed this conversation that we had and enjoyed everything and all of the knowledge that you brought and that you shared, and they want to know more about you, where can they go? Like, where is the best place that they can find you?
Yeah, you bet. So LinkedIn's a social platform I'm on probably the most. I would encourage people to go to Amazon if they want to buy my book and just search for Win the Relationship, Not to Be Able to come up. There's over 106 reviews out there for it. If you want to learn more about me, just visit my website, which is Casey, so CASEY, JACOX.com. And then I'll tell you everything about me and ways to connect. And I'll encourage, if you were intrigued or interested by what we talked about, by all means, reach out.
Awesome. Well, Casey, thank you very much, man. And I'll see you later.
Awesome. Good job to you, buddy.
Bye. Thank you for watching the Gentleman's Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with one friend, leave us a comment, and let us know. 99% of people never leave a review or comment, but we love and are very thankful with the 1% of you who do. If there's something or someone you want to see on this podcast, send me a message on Instagram at Alex_Ramirez1020 and let me know. As a thank you for that, I have an amazing surprise for each and every one of you who does take the time to leave us a comment or review on YouTube or one of the major podcasting platforms